There is a very specific kind of loneliness, a type of cold that only someone who sleeps next to a narcissist knows. It's not the loneliness of being single, in an empty bed. It is the loneliness of being physically intertwined with someone, skin to skin, and feeling that in some unexplainable way. You are completely alone in the room. You remember the beginning. Of course you do. That memory is what keeps you trapped, trying to figure out what happened. In the beginning, the intimacy seemed otherworldly. It was electric, intense, almost telepathic. It felt like that person had been engineered in a lab to satisfy every desire, every fantasy, even the ones you had never spoken aloud. You felt seen, desired like never before. But, over time, something changed. And it wasn't a gradual shift, like the normal kind in long relationships where passion settles into comfort. It was a change in texture. That look that once devoured you with adoration now seems to pass right through your body as if you were transparent. Or worse, a critical, appraising, cold stare. Intimacy, which used to be the stage for connection, turned into a minefield. You either feel used, like an object taken off the shelf only when there is a physical need to be satisfied, or you feel rejected, begging for crumbs of physical affection that are systematically denied. You ask yourself, what is wrong with me? Did I gain weight? Did I become uninteresting? Where is that overwhelming passion? The painful but liberating answer we're going to explore today is that passion was never about you, and the current ice isn't either. The narcissist's sexuality is not an exchange of affection. It is a survival mechanism, a tool for control, and a performance of power. What you lived through wasn't intimacy. It was a transaction. And to understand how to free yourself from this doubt that erodes your self-esteem, we need to open the door to this dark room and turn on the light on what really happens in a narcissist's mind during the sexual act. My name is Lauren Mitchell. My purpose with this channel is to show that the problem was never you, and more importantly, that you are not alone. Let's get down to ground level, to the reality you live or lived. The mental fog in this aspect of the relationship is, perhaps, the most devastating, because sex and physical intimacy touch upon our most primitive vulnerability. Generally, the sexual dynamic with a narcissist follows two main scripts, and often they alternate, leaving you dizzy. The first scenario is empty intensity. The sexual act happens, but you leave it feeling drained, not fulfilled. There might be technique, there might be frequency, but it lacks soul. It's like playing a scene with a very skilled porn actor who knows all the angles and all the sounds, but the moment the director yells cut, they go back to looking at their phone without even asking if you're okay. During the act, the focus seems to be entirely on their performance. They look at themselves in the mirror. They worry if they are being the best you've ever had. They ask insistently, was it good? Not because they care about your pleasure, but because they need your applause. You are not a partner. You are the audience. You are the mirror where they check their own potency. And when it's over, they roll over and sleep, or get up and emotionally leave, leaving you with that feeling of, what just happened? You feel like a receptacle, a necessary accessory for their assisted masturbation. The second scenario, and frequently the following stage, is the cold desert. Suddenly, that person who couldn't keep their hands off you now barely touches you. The deep kissing disappears. The hug becomes a limp, quick touch. When you try to initiate something, you hit a wall. I'm tired. I'm stressed. That's all you think about. But it's not just a normal refusal. It is a refusal loaded with disdain. They make you feel like your desire is something dirty, needy, or inappropriate. You start monitoring your own behavior. If I dress like this, maybe he'll look. If I make that dish she likes, maybe we'll have a good night. You become a contortionist, trying to bend yourself to fit into a mold that will bring back the golden phase. And the cruelest part is the intermittent inconsistency. Just when you decide to give up, just when you start to pull away emotionally to protect yourself, they reappear with that intensity from the beginning. An incredible night, a weekend of passion, and you think, it's back. We're finally back to normal. But on Monday, the ice returns. This roller coaster isn't accidental. The confusion you feel, does he desire me or reject me, is the environment where narcissistic control flourishes. You get stuck in the hope of that good sex returning, without realizing that even in the good moments, something fundamental was missing: mutual vulnerability. For the narcissist, sex is never an end in itself, nor a love language. Sex is a currency, and like any currency, it serves to buy things. But what exactly are they buying? And why is the price your sanity? To understand the root of this dynamic, we need to go back to that golden phase, the so-called love bombing. Why was it so good? Why did it seem so perfect? Here we enter the first psychological pillar, somatic mirroring. The narcissist doesn't enter a sexual relationship to get to know you. They enter it to become what you desire, so that you become addicted to them. It is a capture operation. Narcissistic people are expert chameleons. In the initial stages, they study you. They listen to your complaints about ex-partners. My ex was too cold. No one ever wanted to fulfill my fantasy ex. They file away this information not to nurture you, but to construct the character that will fill exactly those gaps. If you value romance, they will be Prince Charming, with candles and soft music. If you like something wilder, they will embody that dominant energy. They mirror your desires back to you. The explosive chemistry you felt wasn't the meeting of two souls. It was you falling in love with the reflection of your own desires projected onto a blank screen. But there is a crucial detail that differentiates this from healthy passion: performance versus presence. In a healthy relationship, sex in the beginning is clumsy. It's a mutual discovery. It involves laughter, mistakes, and building intimacy. With the narcissist, it often feels scripted, too perfect, too cinematic. This happens because, for them, sex is a stage performance. They are acting the role of the perfect lover. This feeds their ego. When you scream, moan, scratch, or say you never felt this before, you are giving them top-quality narcissistic supply. You are validating their grandiosity. However, if you pay attention to the details of that time, you might notice signs you ignored. The eye contact was intense, but it was predatory, not soft. There was a rush to create bonds, to skip steps. They wanted to merge with you quickly. This fusion isn't intimacy. Intimacy requires two whole people to meet and show themselves vulnerably. The narcissist doesn't have a whole self and is terrified of vulnerability. To them, vulnerability is weakness. So, they replace intimacy with intensity. Intensity is loud, fast, overwhelming. Intimacy is quiet, slow, deep. They gave you intensity to mask their absolute inability to offer intimacy. They simulated emotional connection through physical performance. That's why, often, during the act, you could feel they were doing things to you and not making love with you. It was technical. It was about the body, not the person inside the body. And as soon as the goal of capture was achieved, as soon as you fell in love and committed, the need for that performance ended. The actor left the stage, the lights went out, and you were left alone in the theater. Now that the love bombing is over, we enter the day-to-day reality of the narcissistic mind. What does sex mean to them when they aren't trying to conquer you anymore? Here enters the second pillar: objectification and supply regulation. For an empathetic person, a partner is a human being with feelings, needs, and autonomy. For the narcissist, the partner is an object, an appliance, an extension of themselves. Imagine you have a toaster. You don't ask how the toaster is feeling. You don't cuddle the toaster. You use it when you want bread, and when you don't, you expect it to sit quietly in the corner of the counter. This is exactly how the narcissist views your sexuality. Sex serves to regulate their unstable internal state, relief from tension and boredom. Narcissists feel chronic boredom and an inner void. Sex is a quick dopamine hit. They may use your body just to relieve stress, like someone using a drug or a drink, without any consideration for your pleasure or emotional connection. It's the famous selfish quickie, where they satisfy themselves and roll over. Power validation. If they feel humiliated at work or insecure, they may seek sex to feel in control, powerful, desired. Seeing you submissive or surrendered restores their sense of grandiosity. But there is an even more disturbing phenomenon that occurs here: the Madonna-whore dichotomy. Many narcissists cannot integrate love and desire. In their fragmented minds, if they respect or love you, in their twisted sense of possession, you become the figure of the holy mother-wife. And to them, this figure is not sexually exciting. She is pure, she is boring, she is safe. On the other hand, their desire is awakened by what is dirty, forbidden, new, degrading. This is why it is so common for the narcissist to lose sexual desire for the primary partner as soon as the relationship stabilizes. You have become furniture. You are too safe. You no longer offer the challenge of the conquest, and in their heads, you have lost the mystery. At the same time, They might be compulsively consuming pornography, seeking extramarital affairs, or flirting online, because these external stimuli are new objects without the emotional complexity of a real relationship. They prefer fantasy to reality because in fantasy, they have total control and don't have to deal with the emotional demands of another human being. You feel this on a visceral level as a personal rejection. You try to be sexier, you try to innovate, but nothing works. Because the problem isn't your lack of attractiveness. The problem is that your humanity gets in the way of their fantasy. They want a body without a soul to use, and you insist on being a person who wants connection. For the narcissist, this demand for connection is a burden, a job, and they hate emotional labor. If the sex were just bad or selfish, it would already be terrible. But in abusive relationships with narcissists, sexuality frequently becomes an active weapon of psychological torture. We have reached the third and darkest pillar, deprivation and degradation. When the narcissist enters the devaluation phase, sex, or the absence of it, is used to destroy your self-esteem. The goal is to make you feel undesirable, ugly, and lucky that they are still with you. Withholding as punishment. The narcissist knows you value intimacy, so he hijacks it. They start the silent treatment in bed. They reject your advances with coldness, sometimes with disgust. This creates a hunger in you, a desperation. You start to work for affection. You become more submissive, more helpful. You walk on eggshells, all in the hope of earning a little warmth. This gives them immense power. Seeing you beg for attention is delicious narcissistic supply for them. They feel like gods holding the key to your happiness. Criticism and comparison. Triangulation. During or outside the act, they start dropping poisonous comments. You gained weight. You don't do it like so-and-so did. You are too uptight. Sometimes they explicitly praise other people in front of you, or compare you to adult film actresses. This is triangulation applied to intimacy. The goal is to make you compete for their attention, always feeling inferior. They introduce a third element, real or imaginary, so that you feel insecure and work harder to please them. Coercive or degrading. Sex. In some cases, the narcissist may demand acts that you do not feel comfortable doing, ignoring your boundaries. If you say no, they accuse you of being a prude, frigid, or boring. They use guilt. If you really love me, you would do this. This isn't about sexual pleasure. It's about breaking your boundaries. Every time you cave to something you don't want to do just to keep him around or avoid a fight, you lose a piece of your self-respect. And that is exactly what they want. The less self-respect you have, the harder it will be for you to leave. They transform the sanctuary of the bedroom into a courtroom where you are constantly being judged and found insufficient. This constant erosion causes many victims to develop an aversion to touch, self-image issues, and even sexual dysfunctions, believing the problem is them, when in reality, their body is just reacting to a hostile environment. Looking at this reality is brutal. It hurts to realize that the moments of love were actually moments of manipulation or use. But this pain is the price of your freedom. The key realization I want to hand you today is this. The narcissist's sexuality says everything about their pathology, and absolutely nothing about your value as a woman. You are not insufficient. No woman in the world, no matter how beautiful, skilled, or submissive, could fill the black hole that exists inside a narcissist. They are leaking buckets. You can pour all the love and desire of the ocean into them, and still, they will remain empty and bored. The coldness, the betrayal, the pornography, the withholding of affection, all of these are symptoms of their inability to connect humanly. They are stuck in a childish cycle of seeking novelty and external validation. Stop using his desire as a thermometer of your worth. His desire is volatile, toxic, and superficial. Reclaim ownership of your body. Your body is not an object to serve someone's ego. It is your home. Understanding this is the first step to stop trying to fix intimacy with someone who is incapable of having it, and start directing that energy to heal yourself, and eventually, find someone who understands that sex without vulnerability is just friction, but sex with connection is what you truly deserve. In the description of this video, you will find a link with the only material you need to understand and reframe what you live through. Feel free to use the comments below to leave your story, your vent, or even a suggestion for a topic for the next video. Click on the suggested video on the screen and stick with me. Remember, you are light. Never forget to shine.